The Mexican national team is back in action this October, and this time we're going to be taking on some of CONMEBOL's best sides with games against Colombia and Ecuador. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys first a very brief squad reaction. Who did Javier Aguirre call up? Who did he omit? And then I'm going to be giving you guys a game-by-game preview and my prediction. Of course, you guys follow along in the comments. I want to know how many points you guys think Mexico is taking and where are we getting those points from. If you guys like videos about the Mexican national team, and if you want to see the live watch-alongs that I'm going to be doing, 100% confirmed for Mexico-Colombia, 90% confirmed for Mexico versus Ecuador. It depends on scheduling conflicts. Then make sure you are subscribed. I have the Mexico roster on screen now, and really what I should do is I should have two little signs. One has a happy face on it, and one has a sad face. And just name by name, I just put up happy face, sad face. But I don't really want to do that. Kind of more what I want to focus on is some of the biggest takeaways from this squad. Number one, Luis Romo returning does terrify me because I feel like this is a guarantee that this man is about to get minutes this window. Alexis Gutierrez returns to the squad. I think he was called up on the Nations League, and we haven't really seen him since. Julian Quiñones is back. Ramon Juarez is back. Freaking Acevedo's back. There's a couple of weird returns. I'm not going to say these are the prodigal sons of the Mexican national team. Honestly, some of them are some eyebrow raisers. It is what it is. Look, Mexico have a lot of big injuries going into this break. Rodrigo Huescas, man, horrible injury. Honestly, it had me borderline depressed yesterday hearing about the news. I mean, I think he's missing the World Cup. It's done, which just absolutely sucks. But, you know, we'll look ahead to the next Copa America, next Nations League, all that stuff. I hope he gets back on his feet. No Machin, he's obviously injured as well. And Raul Jimenez went down, so I don't know, 3 of the 5 most exciting Mexican players, or certainly ones with the mixture of the most talent and resume with the national team, are out. So there's going to be some big question marks this window. Really, I'm looking at this list and I'm asking, where are the goals, man? Where are the goals? Over under right now in the comments. Mexico scoring 2 goals this window. Over under in the comments, because I don't really know where it's coming from. I looked at the attack. Chucky Lozano, 18 goals all time for Mexico, but only 2 since 2023. Santi Jimenez, 6 goals. Quiñones, 2. Alexis Vega, 7. Diego Lainez, 1. And Chino Huerta, 3. And if you really want to filter that by how many goals do they have against good opposition, which Colombia and Ecuador certainly qualify, damn, what number are we looking at here? Like 4 combined goals in the entire attack against teams of relevance? It's not looking good, folks. You know what else is not looking good? Julian Araujo's future with the national team, guys. I think he's done. With the World Cup, he's 100% not making the squad. I don't see it now. The fact that Huescas gets injured, so you now need to fill the backup right back, because let's be honest, unfortunately, Aguirre still likes Jorge Sanchez, and it's going to take a series of calamitous performances for Sanchez to get dethroned. You have the backup to Jorge Sanchez getting injured. And then instead of Araujo getting called in here, you have Kevin Alvarez, another random return to the team. I'm not furious about it. I don't really care. I just see this as Araujo is not part of Aguirre's plans. He doesn't rate him. And honestly, it's not really that unjust. Araujo's been trash for 2 years now. He's been irrelevant. It is what it is. He's made a series of bad decisions. He's maybe had some bad luck, a couple injuries, but when he gets an opportunity, he either has a stinker or he gets a red card. It's kind of his fault. I'm not just going to blame the Mexican Vibras or whatever from holding him back. The system is, no, it's not the system. But Araujo, I don't think we're going to be talking about him until 2027. And my last takeaway here is that our current U20 World Cup midfield might actually be better than the senior midfield. I mean, if we're talking technical ability, I don't even think it's a discussion. Montiel, Vargas, and Mora over who? Eric Lira, Marcel Ruiz, and Luis Romo. I'm assuming is going to be our starting midfield. If you want to go who's the more physically dominating midfield, it's the senior men's national team. But if you're talking about technical ability, the fact that our inferiores are better than the senior team when the senior World Cup is just around the corner, it bothers me. I get it. I understand why you wanted, the young guys to go to the U20 World Cup. It's a group of death. It's great experience. You're playing Brazil. You're playing Spain. I understand it, but it would have been really, really good to have at least one of them here. And if it's Mora, if he's the one that's most locked in, so be it. But those are my takeaways from the roster. Let's move ahead to the Colombia match. We do have 2 losses consecutively against Colombia. It's technically 3 if you count the Liga MX versus Deportivo Cali friendly that happened, but I'm not really factoring that in. I do think, though, overall, Colombia has been a difficult opponent for Mexico this entire century. I think if you look at the history of this fixture, Mexico was much better. You know, in the 1900s, in the 1980s, in the 1990s, it was a bit more leaning towards Mexico. But since the turn of the century, Colombia has been the better side in this matchup. I was looking at their convocatoria, and many of the big guns are there. Daniel Munoz, Luis Diaz, James Rodriguez, John Lucumi, Richard Rios. They do have a couple omissions. I'm not going to say they're as vital as the ones that Mexico are missing, namely John Cordoba, which I think is mostly a downside to Colombia from set pieces. I think he's a beast in the air. No John Duran. I do believe he is injured. I don't think this was a disciplinary thing, you know. They say he's a diva. I don't think he wasn't called up for being a diva. I do believe he actually has an injury, which means that Luis Suarez is likely to start against Mexico. Some of you guys don't know who that is. No, I'm not talking about the Uruguayan with big teeth who bites people. I'm talking about the guy who scored 4 goals against Venezuela in the final World Cup qualifier that eliminated Vino Tinto from the World Cup. He brings a little bit more dynamism. He's a bit more of a traditional 9 than somebody like John Cordoba, who's, again, more of like a big body, kind of heavy first touch, lumbering center forward. Luis Suarez is going to be an interesting matchup for Montes and Vasquez in this window. And no John Arias, which has me curious what's going to happen at the right wing position. What is Nestor Lorenzo, the Colombian manager, going to do? Does he put James Rodriguez there? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Maybe he has a stroke of madness and he starts Yacer Asprilla or something up top. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm curious to see how Colombia flow without Arias. Now, Colombia overall, I'm very bullish on this team. I do acknowledge that since the Copa America, there's been ups and downs, but they're still elite, man. This is still a team that everybody should be afraid of at the World Cup. And I think if you look at Colombia all time, they travel very well to the United States. I mean, the Copa America Centenario, they got 4th place, I believe, or 3rd place. Obviously made the final last time. They're not afraid of games in the United States. And I'm actually kind of curious what the crowd looks like here because they travel so well. If you're talking about Latin American teams that travel unbelievably well, you would have to go Colombia, Argentina, and Mexico. That's the big 3. That's the standard of teams that just are teams that always have fan support. So I'm curious what that's going to look like here. Colombia, it's kind of difficult to summarize how they play because I actually think tactically they're quite fluid. They can be a very kind of triangular, quick passing side that largely runs through James Rodriguez, or they can say, you know what, F it, just send the ball long and Luis Diaz is going to run onto it. They can be vertical if they need to. One thing that I feel like I have to say is that from set pieces, I believe Colombia are the best set piece team in the world of football. I believe they are the most terrifying. James Rodriguez's delivery is typically excellent, and they got some big lads, some big men, some big hombres back there for Colombia, and up top at the 9 position as well, who tend to score a lot of headers. I don't know what percentage of goals they score from set pieces, but I'm willing to bet it's pretty high. So we're going up against a pretty specialist team here, and I think it's going to be a great battle and a great challenge for Mexico. And spoiler alert, I'm not expecting much from us in this game. I don't really see Mexico winning because I don't see how Mexico is going to hurt Colombia without Raul Jimenez. You look at Colombia's center backs, Davinson Sanchez, John Lucumi, I believe Mosquera from Arsenal was also called up. I think Santi Jimenez has a great opportunity here to get his mojo back with the Selección. Who knows? Maybe the Korea goal has him playing like Superman going forward. That's what we're praying to God for. That's what I'm going to do a little sacrifice for out on the balcony as soon as I'm done filming and editing this video, that Santi Jimenez is him for Mexico this window, because we're really going to need that. But what I'm predicting is that physically, he's going to get dominated. He doesn't do well against physically commanding center backs, and that's exactly what Colombia have. And I think us losing Machin, our most dangerous set-piece threat next to Cesar Montes, that kind of brings down the possibility of that. We lose Raul Jimenez free kicks. We lose Raul Jimenez's just positioning and awareness. I think it's going to be really difficult for us to get a goal in this game. Not saying it's impossible, but we're really going to need somebody to step up. And I'm looking at the midfield as well, and I'm expecting Aguirre to play, our new stereotypical physical ball. I think it's going to be Lira, Ruiz, Romo as the midfield. And I think that in the last window, especially against Japan, they just kind of beat up Japan's midfield so much. Japan kind of wilted. Unfortunately, Colombia is 15 times tougher mentally than Japan, and I don't think Richard Rios, he's a dog, Jefferson Lerma, definition of a dog, Kevin Castaño, I don't think they give a damn about physical play. I don't think they're intimidated. I think they would relish the opportunity. I think they would have like an evil Cheshire cat grin on their faces as soon as they realize, like, oh, Mexico, that's how y'all want to play? Okay, we can play like that. So I don't see an advantage there. I think it's also going to be a wash. My goals for Mexico, number one, I want us to concede less than 2 goals this game. A clean sheet, I will be surprised, but I think conceding 1 is a possibility. We just have to play really freaking well. And I'll keep saying it. I want to see Malagon actually have to do something here. Too often, it's whenever the opponent has a lot of shots on goal, Malagon just happens to not be between the sticks. So I'm hoping that this time we actually see him a little bit more tested. And I'm going to say 2 good counterattacks from Mexico. I'm so sick of us wasting counter after counter, it being ass after ass. I would like to see us get 2 good counterattacks that result in shots on goal. I don't even care if they go in. But I want to see some Alexis Vega Toluca form. I want to see Diego Lainez from Tigres form. I want to see Chucky Lozano MLS form. And god damn it, I want to see Julian Quiñones Saudi Arabia form. Is that too much to ask? I don't really want to see Santi AC Milan form. But the rest of those guys, bring your club form and bring your technical ability, as much as you have, to the Mexican national team. I want to see a little bit of chemistry, which is a big ask because these guys don't have a lot of reps together. But it is what it is. My score prediction in this game, I think Colombia is going to win, and I think they're going to win by 2 goals. I'm sorry. I don't have confidence in Mexico in this matchup. I don't see where we score. Can we get a draw? Yes, we can get a draw. We can get a 1-1 draw here. I don't think that's impossible. Colombia do have games where the attack goes ghost, and they just cannot put a shot on frame. But now they got Luis Suarez up top. I'm bullish on that guy. I think Colombia win this game by 2 goals. Moving on to the Ecuador match. 2 0-0 draws in a row for us against Ecuador. I feel like the Mexico-Ecuador game at the Copa America was extremely hyped up. I don't know if I hyped it up. I hope I didn't. Not because it wasn't a game of teams of note, but because Ecuador versus Mexico kind of smelt and stunk like a 0-0 the entire time. And it kind of stinks of a 0-0 this time around as well. I actually think in terms of strengths and weaknesses, Mexico and Ecuador are very similar. The difference is Ecuador are far more talented, which, not to be offensive to Ecuador, you guys know I love the Ecuadorian national team. It shouldn't be this large of a divide. If Ecuador is going to have a great generation, which they do, and they're going to be, 10%, 15% more talented than Mexico, so be it. Every country has their turn in the sun. Look at the Chilean generation of, the early 2010s. Paraguay in the, 2006 to 2012. Every lizard has its day. I'm okay with that. But the fact that if I did a combined Ecuador-Mexico 11 right now, guys, how many Mexicans get in there? 3? Maximum? Raul gets in. 1 Mexican midfielder gets in. You could argue for Edson Alvarez if you want to go him and Caicedo double pivot, but I'd probably put Marcel Ruiz. And that is it. That is it. So it's 9 Ecuadorians in a combined 11, which shows the strides that Ecuador have made. Shout out to Independiente del Valle, my favorite team in Ecuador. The haters will continue to hate. And shows the stagnation that Mexico continues to go through. Now, look, maybe in a couple years from now, when some of our U20 guys are in the team, maybe this gets a bit more balanced. Maybe it is 6 Ecuadorians, 5 Mexicans. But right now, I think it's the talent favors Ecuador to an embarrassing degree for Mexico. Talking about strengths and weaknesses, both of these teams, a big weakness is they kind of have a blunt spear tip. I think that Raul Jimenez would have been the best striker between these two teams, but he's out, and now it's Santi Jimenez versus Ener Valencia. And Ener Valencia is kind of a weird player for me, clearly talented, but doesn't always step up in the biggest moments. Could he get a goal in this game? Is he more decorated at the national team level and the club level than Santi Jimenez? Absolutely. I'm not going to insult Ener Valencia by saying Santi is clear. I'm just saying that no team can really rely on their 9 100% going into this game, which means the goals are probably going to come from set pieces and from wingers. And if I look at the wingers for Ecuador, who are we talking about? Gonzalo Plata, Nilson Angulo, Kevin Rodriguez, all of which are better than who Mexico's bringing here. Who would you guys rather have? Angulo, Plata, and Rodriguez, or Diego Lainez, Chucky Lozano, and Chino Huerta? Again, advantage Ecuador. And I think the biggest strength for both teams is the defense. I was thinking about this before I started recording, but I did not have time. There's too many videos dropping on the channel. Hit subscribe for me to really ponder this for too long. But where would you rank Mexico's defense in the world of football? I would think, and I'm comfortable saying, we're probably 15th. I think 15th defensively sounds right to me. Maybe you could make the argument anywhere from 12 to 20. Oh, 12 sounds high. I'm going to go 15 to 20. I would make that argument. But we're going up against Ecuador, who I think is the undisputed number one. And I don't just mean they're the best defense in terms of talent, because maybe you could argue France has a more talented defense. You could maybe argue England have a more talented defense. Tactically, they are, of course, also a defensive-minded team. I mean, when your best players are in the defense, yeah, you're going to be playing a more conservative play style. It doesn't mean they're cowards. It means that they're pragmatic and realistic. For those of you who are hating on how Ecuador try to play, results-wise, of course, you look at a team in Ecuador that conceded 5 goals in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying. There's not a team on planet Earth who could do that. Morocco couldn't do that. I'm sorry for the Moroccans watching a Mexican October friendly preview video, but y'all couldn't do that. Australia could not do that. Desert Turtles Tunisia couldn't do that. Paraguay couldn't do it. Nobody could do that. Mexico couldn't do that. So that's why I think defensively they are the best team in the world. I was looking at Ecuador's call-up, and as of time of recording, it has not been officially announced, but I went player by player. Doesn't really seem like there's any huge omissions except for Piero Incambié from Arsenal. I think he has a muscle strain. I do not think he's going to be included, which probably just means that, I don't know, Felix Torres or Joel Ordóñez is going to start instead, and they just have a conveyor belt of defenders they can throw in there. So I don't know how much that's going to impact the actual game itself. Speaking of the game itself, predictions are a little difficult because I'm expecting Javier Aguirre, as he does often, to rotate and have a couple concerning inclusions in this game. And if he is an absolute howler, if I do not see Cesar Montes and Johan Vazquez in the back line, Ecuador wins the game. If we are experimenting center backs with 3 games left before the World Cup, I'm gonna lose it on the stream. So maybe you guys would love to see that. Again, hit subscribe. If we start Johan and Cesar, I think that this is going to be a 1-1 draw. Because I think Ecuador is going to probably rotate a little bit too. Maybe they start Nilson Angulo, or they give some of the younger guys a little bit of time here. But I think Ecuador is the favorite, and they have to be considered the favorite. But I'm expecting a defensive, trench warfare that would make World War I look like it was open play. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if this is going to be an exciting game, but like I said, I'll 90% confirmed to go live for this. I am going to stick with the 1-1 draw, though. I do think Mexico can dig deep, take advantage of probably a little bit of rotation from Ecuador, and get a draw. If we get a win here, wow, that would be freaking a win in either of these games would be ecstatic. Yeah, we have Turkey as a big win recently. That's cool, but I would like to see a little bit more. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Those are my predictions. That's my preview. That's how I see these games going down. You let me know what you think down below in the comments. How many points is Mexico taking? If you enjoyed, smash the like button. Remember, I'll be going live for these games, so hit subscribe for that and other Mexican national team content in English. Y'all are awesome, and I'll see y'all in the next one.